welcome back. Today we're going to learn how to solve quadratic equations by what?
Finding square roots.
Finding square roots. Very good. So you remember last week we went over how to find square roots and simplify square roots. So we're going to take that skill and now we're going to use it in solving a quadratic equation. So if we have something like x squared minus 16 equals 0, we want to know how to solve this. Now notice, what makes this equation quadratic? The 2. This is degree 2. So every equation where the degree is 2 is quadratic. So to solve this, it's just like before. We want to isolate the variable. So we want to get this term by itself. So what would we have to do to the minus 16?
Add it to the other side.
Add it to the other side. Very good. So we add 16, add 16.
X equals 4.
And we get x squared is 16.
Square root it?
So some of you could probably solve that in your head, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is asking what number squared is 16?
4.
4, but there's another one.
Eight.
Think about it. Not 8.
No.
8 squared is 64. Close. 2 squared is 4, but
4.
right? We know if we take the 4 and we square it, we get 16. But I'm telling you, there's another number when we square it, we also get 16.
Negative 4.
Negative 4. Very good. So to shorten it, we just put
Plus or minus.
plus or minus in front of the 4. So when we solve a quadratic equation and we take the square root of both sides, then your answer is always plus minus. Because if we square that negative, it becomes a positive. So both numbers will solve this equation. If you take a 4 and square it, 16, and 16 minus 16 is 0. Take a negative 4 and square it, again, 16 minus 16 is still 0. So we need positive and negative 4. Okay? Questions on that example? Alright, let's try another one. What if we have 3x squared minus 24 equals 0? So now we have a number out in front. Ooh, scary.
You have to make one to the second.
That's right, it's the same steps like before. Trying to isolate the x squared. So we add the 24. So we get 3x squared equals 24. Trying to isolate the x squared. So what should we do next? Divide by
3.
the 3, that's right. So we find that x squared is 8.
8.
And in the last problem, what did we do? What's the inverse of a square? We
Square root.
square root.
8's
So
not a
if we
perfect
square root both sides.
8's not a perfect square, so it had to be a fraction, right?
It's not a perfect square. So this is where we remember what we did last week.
4 and 2.
4 times 2. We have to do the prime tree. 4 times 2 is 8.
And 2 and
2 times 2. We look for our pairs. Right?
2. Yeah.
That goes outside. No pairs. Stays inside. There you go. Okay. So don't forget things that we've learned before. You can still use that. Alright. And don't forget plus minus on all your answers. Because the negative squared will become the positive. Questions on that one? Very good. Let's do one more, and you guys will do the last one. What if we have a fraction? Your favorite. Right? How do we get rid of fractions? We don't like working with fractions, do we?
No.
No, I don't. So get rid of the fraction. You guys remember it?
We add one to the first side, to the other side first, right?
We could.
Don't you multiply by 4?
Find
But
the
I
reciprocal.
teach- Get rid of the fraction first, so we don't have to worry about it.
Find the reciprocal.
Multiply everything by 4.
So we would multiply everything by 4. Or, which is kind of multiplying by the reciprocal. Notice a fraction means divide. So this equation is telling us we divided by 4. This was divided by 4. So the inverse of dividing by 4 is multiplying by 4. So we multiply every term by 4. Those divide out, we're left with x squared. 1
Minus
times 4 is
4.
4, 0 times 4 is 0. And then from there, it's easy. Add 4. So x squared equals 4. And what would be the next step? Square root both sides. Be careful. Plus or minus. Both positive and negative 2. Both numbers work. Right? Good. Do not forget to use the plus and minus. And the last example, you guys can do this one. If you get this right, then you're doing pretty good. Let's go ahead and solve that one. I'll give you about a minute and we'll check. Everybody finished?
Yeah.
Alright, so the first step would be to
Add the 9 to the other side.
add 9, very good. So 2x squared equals 18. Next step,
Divide by 2.
divide by the 2, very good. So we find that x squared is 9,
X is 3.
and
No, plus and minus 3. Plus or minus 3.
so we get positive negative 3. It's both numbers. It could be negative 3, because negative 3 squared is positive 9.
Mm-hmm.
And it could be positive 3. So don't forget positive and negative. Alright?